What's up, weebs? Welcome back to Anime Lane, the podcast where we take you down the yellow brick road of anime and have a look at everything it has to offer. As always, I'm your host, Notorious. Join me once again today is Shaun.
Hello.
And Melina.
Hello.
On today's episode, we're taking a swim in Children of the Sea, directed by Ayumu Watanabe. Watanabe. Written by Saku Konohana. Music by Joe Hisaishi. Animation production by Studio. I don't know if it's 4 degrees C or 4 degrees or 4C. It's, one of them. It was released in Japanese theatres July 7th, 2019. It is licensed in the UK by Anime Limited and in the US by G Kids. Available on home video from both. It's based on the manga by Daisuke Igarashi, which is licensed in English by Viz Media. Then we're breaking into Area 51 and Lupin the Third Angel Tactics, directed by Shigeyuki Miya, written by Atsushi Maekawa, music by Yuji Ono, animation production by TMS. It aired on Japanese TV July 22nd, 2005 as the 17th TV special in the franchise. It's licensed in the US by Discotek, who have released it on Blu-ray. It's based on the manga series by Monkey Punch. Seven Seas have the English license and have published 2 collections, The Greatest Heist and Thickest Thieves, and this is going to be the last time I mention the Seven Seas license. I'm just going to direct you back to one of these episodes where I mention it.
Yeah. They know at this point.
Yeah. Otherwise, I'm just bringing it up every single time we cover Lupin. And it's just going to be the same 2 collections until Seven Seas decide we'll do a third. But yeah, what one do we want to start with?
Can we just start with Children of the Sea?
Do we want to get Children of the Sea out of the way?
Please.
Just put the fucking bullet in it.
Yeah. Just end it.
So who wants to...
Maybe first introduce why we came to watch this.
Sure. Do you want to introduce why we came to watch it? Because I currently don't know what you're talking about.
Like, how did we come to decide to watch this?
Like, let's hear the story.
Yeah.
So, I will pass this again to you, Melina, because I don't know where you want me to tell.
This.
You're the one who saw it first.
I saw a lot of what we've watched.
Yeah, but
I know, but you had a story to go with that.
Which story are you talking about? I have no fucking clue what you're talking about.
You
watched
told
this
us
movie
you
and was like, oh.
Okay, yeah, so I went to Scotland Loves Anime to see this in 2019, where it was the year that Weathering With You was there, Children of the Sea, Birthday Wonderland, One Piece, one of the One Piece movies, and so I seen 3 out of the 4. I decided not going to see Birthday Wonderland. I want time to go have food. And I think this was the opening movie. I'm sure. Oof. I'm pretty sure this was the opening movie of the day.
What
and so it is. Scotland Loves Anime pretty much always sells out its main days.
Yeah.
Because it's one showing in Edinburgh. There's the Glasgow side as well, but Edinburgh and Glasgow, they both sell out pretty much.
Yeah.
And so this is a theatre packed full of people, and the movie ends, and there's just like this air of silence and what the fuck.
Love that.
And like normally these movies get like an applause generally.
You know, common courtesy.
But it was a very staggered sort of like couple of people going.
Just very slow claps.
And then, more people get involved, and then, eventually it's like, but we're obliging the sentiment. But everyone was, you could feel the atmosphere of, like, no one knew what the fuck had just happened.
Yeah, like the Simpsons gif of Krusty going, what the hell was that?
And so, yeah, fast forward 5 years, and here we are. Where
do an Avengers Endgame time skip.
Yeah. And we were picking out some titles, and I remember I bought this. I bought it real cheap, I want to add. Second hand. Pretty much specifically so we could cover it, because I remember like the total disbelief of the movie, and thinking, yeah, this is something we should cover for better or worse.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that's the story you wanted me to tell. I don't know if I've told it well.
Good enough.
Yeah, that was a good story.
I essentially had a gun put to my head and was told, tell the story.
It was a good story, though. I think it sets the tone for how we
Sure, if I knew it was going to come up, I could have prepared a little bit better.
Next time you tell an interesting story about a movie you want us to cover, remember it.
I do remember it, but it's like if we wanted me to tell it on the podcast, but like at the start, you should have told me before we started recording.
Okay, we'll give you a cue next time.
But yeah, so this is unfortunately my second time seeing this movie, and unfortunately is your first and probably only times watching this movie.
Correct.
I am never touching this thing again. Yeah. I think I've made it clear already. I don't like this movie.
No, I think there's a thing about seeing a movie in a theater with a lot of other people where if there's a sense of confusion, you just kind of walk out like dazed. And I think something I've not mentioned before is that the sort of like main showings at Scotland Love This Anime are in like a competition. I can't remember what the award is called, but it's for an award that runs through the festival. And you are given a popsicle stick at the end, and you walk past boxes, and you drop in. There's 5 boxes, 1 through 5, to rate the movie. And I walked out, and I was so just like dazed and confused. I was like, I put it in 3 because I was just like it's in the middle because I got nothing. This time. I fucking hated this. Genuinely hated this.
You straight up told me right after that you were genuinely angry.
I was, because you had asked me something about the movie, and I was like, look, I don't want to talk about it. I was like, I don't want to colour your impression because you hadn't watched it at the time.
Again? Was it like? Because was it when we talked about you talked about the post credits?
Oh yeah, I think you asked like, does the post credit scene add anything to the movie? And I was like,
at least improve, because I at least got the sense that you didn't like the movie at first. So I was like, okay, this might be something.
Yeah.
So I was like, well, and then you talked to us about like, oh, there's a post-credit scene that I don't think I've ever seen, by the way.
I'm sure I have seen it, but it's just like a lot of the movie is very forgettable, which we'll get into.
Yeah,
absolutely.
So I think I just genuinely like the biggest thing that stuck for me in this movie is that the end song is actually like pretty good. I like this song. And I was like, I recognize the voice in this. And I was like, maybe it's because I've heard this song before. And no, the same singer did the Chainsaw Man opening like a couple of years ago, so that's also why I recognized it now. That was the only thing. That was it. I remembered nothing else until I sat down to watch it.
Your brain was trying to protect you.
It was.
Yeah. I don't even know how to get into it.
Yeah, where do we start?
So, okay, it starts in a...
Should we try and explain the premise and story?
No, I don't think you can, actually.
I don't think any of us are going to be comfortable really trying to explain this.
Right, because I have no fucking clue.
If people go back about a year ago, when we started doing non-anime focused episodes, one of our first episodes, we ended up talking about the whole Shinzo Abe meme of like have sex and like the whole like
it's all about thumbnail, by the way.
Yeah.
Japan
needs to improve its birth rate, and he had like a whole thing of like he wanted to encourage, he wanted media that encouraged this idea.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I really feel like this was just one of the results. Yeah.
This is quite the crux of it. Yeah.
Yeah. I would describe this as Shinzo Abe's wet dream, in more than one way, because it's a very wet movie.
Yeah, that works on multiple levels.
Yeah, you got it. Yep.
So the premise is that our main character, whose name I'm not even going to try and remember, Ruka.
No, make notes.
I remember Ruka.
Veruca Wart, I guess.
Mhm.
She doesn't get along with her mum. Her dad works in an aquarium. She loves aquatic animals, and she meets a kid
Hey boy.
called Umi. And they become friends. They meet his brother Sora, and I just want to say, Umi and Sora, sea and sky. That is what their name means.
Oh.
Okay.
To the point
guessed
that one of the last lines in the movie before the credits is her saying that the sea and the sky will still be there, and you very clearly hear her say that. Obviously, in multiple layers in Japanese, that works as like, oh, Umi and Sora are still there.
Yeah.
So yeah, very very on the nose. Her and Sora don't get along. Sora kind of drags her into a couple of adventures. He then impregnates her. Yeah, with a meteorite thing.
We should state, by the way, how old are these kids?
Oh, they're like 15 max.
Yeah, like 14, 13. I was thinking.
Yeah, that's.
And then shit gets weird, and it's kind of about like.
Yeah.
My mind melted at that.
Yeah.
I'll just start with some notes about the overall film, because as soon as shit got weird, my notes also changed. I'm not even going to talk about quality anymore, because I'm not fucking bothered.
Yeah.
My notes changed very quickly as well.
I had made a couple of funny jokes, and then I just have a note about halfway through that's like, God, this movie is pretentious and self-important.
Yeah.
And then after that, it's just like, I'm not even paying attention to dialogue anymore. And then it's just random bits, because there's just no point after like the last 30 minutes. Like when shit gets weird, which is like the whole birth festival thing, I guess is what it's called.
Yeah, that's what it's called.
Festival of Conception.
I mean,
which is
guess.
worse. The phrasing is so much worse.
Yeah, they're good.
It's referred to as multiple things throughout the movie.
Yeah.
Pretty inconsistently.
As soon as she said that, I was like, no.
And once that starts, that sequence goes on for a long time. Like a really long time.
And I hate to say it was kind of pretty.
Oh, don't get me wrong. Like, this film is incredibly well animated.
Yes. I want to state one of my first notes that I have is that the animation looks good.
Mm-hmm.
Like, this is good animation, and I like the art style. That sort of, I called it pencil sketch.
Yeah, it does have like a very line art focused style.
Good shading in there on like characters and like stuff. I really liked that at first. After a while, it got.
I mentioned that to you, that for me it flipped heavily into, God, this is actually kind of fucking ugly. Aesthetically. On a technical level, incredibly impressive film. Aesthetically, it starts off nice, but then you realise, wow, this is a whole 2 hours of this look.
Yeah.
After
a while, it starts to lose its sort of like splendor.
Yeah, it loses its charm, because the character designs are quite intense, I think, is the main thing for me on that.
Especially on some characters.
We'll get to that.
We will get to that. I don't want to name names right now, but yeah.
But
yeah. I want to say right after that note is like, it's from like half an hour later, and I'm just like, I want something interesting to happen, please.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just have like random reactions to certain things.
Same.
And at some point I'm just like, I like Jim. Jim seems like a chill dude.
Yeah, no, Jim was pretty chill.
Yeah, Jim's alright, I guess.
Yeah.
I wish he wasn't like everyone else. I wish he wasn't an amateur philosopher like every other fucking character.
Everyone is constantly trying to just be like so philosophical.
Oh my
Every single one at some point in this movie like makes what sounds like the same sort of like it's almost like Kingdom Hearts dialogue is what I ended up comparing it to in the end.
I get that.
It's like wax lyrical bullshit Whereas even in Kingdom Hearts, you feel like you're supposed to like laugh at it a little.
Yeah.
But here it takes itself so seriously.
Yeah.
And everyone says it in such a monotone, serious voice. I'm like, I don't fucking care about any of this. I just wanted them all to shut up by the end.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fair. Legit, my only note worthy of like anything is like, oh, the pacing is slow around the typhoon, and after that it just goes to Mom is a bitch. Stop dragging her to the ocean.
It's kind of shit. The pacing shit overall. Like,
oh yeah, it's so slow.
It's really hard to like even formulate like
a thought
on it. Everyone kind of sucks in this movie.
Yes.
As well.
There's no character I particularly liked. Even Jim was
Yeah.
I feel like Umi to me was the most likable.
I found him really fucking annoying.
I think he's the only character that feels like he's allowed to emote more than the same sort of monotone. So I get that. That felt nice for variety's sake. But yeah, after a while I was just like, can you just go away now?
Yeah.
And then Sora goes away. We're like,
yeah, I mean, I wanted Sora to go away as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have a note about him that neither of you are gonna get. But when he first showed up, I just wrote Sora, Griffith ass motherfucker. Some listeners are gonna get what I mean by that if they've seen both this and Berserk, but
it's a Berserk reference.
It is a Berserk reference.
I still haven't seen it. I need to.
It's just everything that happened in this movie feels like someone just pulled it out of a hat and someone died.
Yeah.
Like,
and then the kids go on the boat.
The kids were raised by dugongs. Who the fuck's a dugong? We don't know.
Who else Googled dugong? Me!
I did too. I have a joke here that I wrote. I was like, presenting HBO's brand new drama series Raised by Dugongs.
I love that joke. You showed me that joke and I genuinely wheezed. I think I followed it up right after with like the prequel series to Dances with Jellyfish.
Yeah.
Because everything that happens, they're like, okay, if we just mention one thing about it once, we can get away with it being foreshadowed. I'm like, no. That's not how this fucking works.
Like,
so
there's
Sora at some point just goes, like, that whole scene just had me going, I'm trying my best to understand, to put reason here. So Sora, who hates Ruka, and Ruka hates him, fair, they hate each other. He fucking slips his tongue down her throat.
He does.
And just chucks a meteorite at her.
Yeah.
I mean, legit, my notes are like, what the fuck? They kiss. And then second note, meteorite?
Yeah. Mine's is like, meteorite kiss? Huh?
And then he just goes into the ocean and dies?
Yeah, my next note is Sora dies? Does he? Unclear.
I just wrote, I hope he stays dead.
Yeah, that's fair. My follow-up note on that
of it, but there's none like, oh, he returns to where he comes from. But I'm like, no.
Yeah. My next note on that is like 20 minutes later, where I'm just like, Ruka Prigana then?
Yeah, I literally wrote in my notes like, is this movie about team?
You asked me, and I had sent the Shinzo Abe meme as he started watching the movie, and I replied to my own message and was like, I wasn't fucking joking.
Yeah.
No, because I remember when you first told us about this movie, and I was like, well, as long as she doesn't fuck I think we'll be okay. And your reaction just was,
kind of.
There's no. Yeah, but like, still, there's. Oh,
it
God.
somehow would have been better if she did fuck a dolphin.
No.
No.
I prefer this.
Loud incorrect button noise. Absolutely not.
Legit, I don't even know how to talk about, because as I watch it, you try to make sense of it. Like, I want to understand, maybe guess what could happen, but at no point could I guess that Ruka is swimming and Umi is there, but she's in black and white, and then they battle to get the meteorite, but then Umi's a baby. Is she pregnant with Umi? What the fuck is happening?
At this point, I was almost angry because I was like, "Oh, he's a fucking baby now."
Yeah. And she holds him. I'm like, nah, fuck that kid. Nah.
Yeah. You can just.
Yeah, you want the thing, and he also wants, but you don't want him to get it. Why would you?
Yeah. She stops him from being it, and then she's like, "Oh, I should have just let him eat it."
Oh fuck, he's a baby now. I suppose you should care.
Yeah, I should just give it.
I don't think the film deserves the honor of being interpreted, but if I were to put some meaning to
that's a great quote I want on this episode.
The whole like fighting over that, and then like him becoming the baby. Is it whose DNA ends up being like the most prevalent thing, or
at some point a DNA strand, and I was like, whatever.
Because it's like it's that whole sequence is sort of like the whole process of like gestation, the actual process of pregnancy. But then it turns into universe, birth, universe, child. Are we the universe? What's going on?
Are we dead, or is this Ohio?
Didn't they at some point legit say the meteorite is like a worm? Or am I making that the fuck up?
I think there was some sort of allusion to it.
Maybe.
I don't know, it's hard to really keep track of what was like the very, very subtle, in air quotes, like allegory, and what was just flat out said.
I mean, to be fair, Ruka summed it up at the end where she's just like, I didn't understand anything.
Yes, the same girl.
Which got a very cathartic laugh out of the audience at Scotland Loves Anime, I want to say.
Fair enough. Yeah.
If I wasn't supposed to understand any of it, mission fucking accomplished.
Yeah. I've said this before about another thing we've watched, and I can't remember what, but I'm pretty sure I've said this in an episode before. I'm sure it means something, but the movie doesn't give me enough to understand it.
Yeah.
This was a good I remember you talking about that.
Yeah. I get that point 100%, where I can imagine in a writer's room someone would ask, like, okay, so what's the significance of this? And maybe the writer can answer that.
Someone wrote the manga, remember? This was written in a manga and then adapted to a movie. Right. So someone had to have written this in comic form and went, I understand this. And then someone's read that comic and went, I understand this, I'm going to turn this into a movie. Then that got greenlit because someone read it and went, I understand this, let's make this movie. Then a whole bunch of people watched it at the end in a room and
said, let's release this.
And said, yes, I understand this, let's release this. And then someone translated that. I feel bad for the translator.
Yeah, it's...
Yeah.
Props to them. They tried.
Oh, God. I mean, not only is the movie bad, watching this was an experience because of, like, the subtitles are fucking tiny. And they're sometimes not super readable, depending on what's on in the background.
Oh, yeah.
And they did occasionally go back kind of fast.
Yeah, and the timing sucks. It's very consistently inconsistent. Some scenes, fine. But there's whole chunks at the start of that movie where, like, lines come in like a whole half second to a second late. And that just throws everything off when you're trying to read that. Also, at the time, I don't think G-Kids could do more than one line on screen at a time, which meant if there was some text on screen needing translated, or there were voiceover while there was conversation, both would start interrupting each other, which happens in a very sort of important scene between Umi and Sora, where there's like, not Umi and Sora, Sora and Ruka, where they're having a conversation, and Ruka's voiceover kicks in, but you can't. The subtitles for Ruka's voiceover are like being interrupted by their conversation, but it's more important to hear her voiceover or like understand what she's saying in her voiceover, but that just kept getting interrupted to the point I don't know what she was on about. To be fair, doesn't matter if I read it, this movie does not.
You'd have felt the exact same way either way.
No. But it's all those little things that add on top of an already shit experience.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard to talk.
Yeah,
it is
specifically because my mind is such like a meld, and I struggled so hard
to
get through it, to like really focus and get through it. Like even like past the 10-minute mark, I was like, oh, my mind's already slipping. This is not a good. This is not a good sign.
I remember both times I was consistently checking my watch just during the whole film, just constantly.
I caught myself being like, look at the cursor. Oh my god.
Yeah, I would bring up the info bar to check the progress a lot. Yeah. It is
there was a part where my heart sank because I realized I was only like halfway through.
Yeah, you get halfway through and you're like, fuck, I'm only halfway through.
Yeah.
Because that's where like the pacing really just turns to complete dog shit.
When they're on that fucking island.
Why did they go to the island? Who knows? They're on the island for too long, but then suddenly they're not on the island anymore, and then suddenly there's something about like the Navy being involved, but the Navy never come up again.
No.
Yeah, and then there's the guy on the island, long hair man, who's there.
Yeah,
who looks
there.
too much like
I don't know what his point was.
Yeah,
he doesn't look like the mom, but he just his design is scary, in some way.
I mean, I don't know if they were going for like some sort of like not symbolic, but some sort of like theme with the humans looking somewhat fish-like with like the eyes. Because I don't know if I'm interpreting stuff.
It's certain characters though, because like Jim, the dad, the mom, and like the kind of teacher and the other kids we see at the start of the movie, they all kind of look really normal, but it's like everyone else has like a really odd design.
Yeah, and with characters like Ruka, it's like, okay, that's an interesting art style thing, but then you get to like the other characters and you're like, oh, they're fish people.
Yeah,
I don't even know if that's the interpretation or not.
I don't know. It's mentioned in the movie that like, for Umi and Sora, they've spent so much time at sea that their skin's like adapted to sort of like the seawater, and that's why they need
bullshit, by the way.
Yeah, that's why they need to like, you know, hydrate their skin all the time.
You get that like one scene at the beginning where he's just like dunking himself with like what the sink or like the showers or whatever.
He's lying in the hand washing like station in the school, just, you know, having a
soak.
Yeah, having a good gulp.
I sent you that image.
Yeah,
I was just like, send this to someone without context, and what do you think they'll say?
And it was like,
even with context.
Yeah, and I was like, yeah, even with context, this just doesn't.
No.
It's a bad movie.
Yeah,
it's bad.
Yeah,
it's so bad.
Post-credit scene also doesn't add anything.
Adds nothing. Just pointless.
There's baby. In case you didn't realize, the message of the movie was about babies.
Apparently, the mum and dad got back together, even though clearly they don't.
They really shouldn't.
Nope, and that mum needs to seek professional help.
Oh my god! Yeah.
Girl, I implore you, please go to therapy.
Yeah.
And then they have a baby, and apparently everything is fixed, which is a bad message. Terrible message.
That's what they do. They fix relationships always, every time.
Yeah, what to do when you're in a rough patch? Have a baby, because that will bring you closer together.
It's like flex tape.
Is the point of the movie that Ruka's mum has another baby? Is that the whole thing?
I was just happy with Ruka having a baby.
I was very happy that I was like, wait, does she have the kid? And thank fuck, no, she doesn't.
Yeah, I was terrified.
Same.
And then after that, I just didn't care about whatever the fuck the message was.
It's rare that you have a movie like this where you can't care to even talk about it.
Yeah.
Because there's nothing you want to relive.
Yeah, I would just get angry. That's it. That's all that would happen.
Yeah.
I can't imagine watching this a third time. I wouldn't put myself through it.
No.
I can't imagine watching it a second
time. And that's fair.
So
I for some reason decided I should subject myself to it a second time for this. And even then I'm questioning how worth it was.
Whether it was a good enough reason.
Yeah, because sometimes you watch, dog shit things, and we get banger episodes out of it. But I don't even think there's enough to talk about to get like an episode where I'm like, yeah, that came out like amazingly well. Like, I think our conversation about like Spirits Within was like really good. And there's been other things that we've covered, like Dragon Dentist was at least fun.
Himagoto.
I just keep forgetting that exists. I keep forgetting we've recorded that. It really does just time. It's whenever I'm scrolling through the episode list, it just stands out for the wrong reasons. But yeah, I'm still
laughing that that's the same episode we did Paprika.
It is. Yeah, I'm glad that the Cone EX episode is out, because it means that no one needs to go back and listen to Himigoto. They can just hear Paprika in that.
I think we've almost said all we
I think we
can
have.
and are physically willing.
Yeah.
Last thing I just want to mention, my highlight of the whole movie was when the whale made the predator noise.
Yeah.
I genuinely burst out laughing when I needed a laugh at that point in the movie, and it delivered.
Yeah,
that's fair.
And that is my point.
I've googled a lot of new sea animals. I didn't know the names.
At some point, I was just letting that like flow over me. I was like,
I stopped after Dugon because I didn't care.
Yeah,
after, like 20 minutes.
I was like, you like marine life? That's cool. Don't make me learn about that.
I can learn about that in far more interesting ways.
Yeah. So scores. I'm giving this a 3 out of 10. Real bottom of the barrel shit.
It's a pretty high 3.
It is.
Yeah.
Like I say, if it weren't for the like how competently produced it is, I that wouldn't even, there would be no saving graces for it.
Yeah. That's why I'm giving it a 2.
That's fair.
2 predator whales out of 10.
Yeah. Honestly, I think I'm sticking with a 3 because I actually like the animation style and wasn't overly bothered by it.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's why I'm giving that 2.
Yeah. No, I don't know why it reminds me a lot of one of my lecturers at uni. He started doing his own animation, and it's almost in the same style.
Okay.
And I think it's a really nice style to kind of tell good stories that are kind of grounded. I like the style of the animation, but this story was so far from grounded.
Okay, I was about to say.
Yeah, don't you worry. It's
if this animation style had been in any other movie, I would be praising it more.
Yeah, I probably wouldn't have minded this so much if it were any other movie. Yeah.
But thankfully, after subjecting ourselves to that, we got a little treat.
This
okay, we can move on to the good stuff.
Yeah, Lupin
the Third, Angel Tactics.
I really like this one. I think of like a lot of what we've watched, I think it's like possibly one of the best. Obviously, we've watched like the first and Castle Cagliostro, which really stand completely, apart from everything else. But this like was really fun, and it wasn't it wasn't bogged down by a lot of stuff we've complained about in other episodes about Lupin.
Yeah. Like, when it comes to Lupin, it feels like in the last, like, year of stuff we've watched, we like, this part was good, but, like, it's bogged down by this or that element or whatever. But this didn't really have any of that, apart from maybe, like, one or two minor things.
Yeah, it didn't cut the tornado.
No, it didn't cut the tornado. Fujiko wasn't written out with an amnesia plot.
No.
I appreciate that.
She wasn't in it a lot, but I think that it's...
I would take her not being in the plot directly, like, just her not appearing instead of just, you know, a bullshit right around.
Yeah, I feel like it would have been a kind of bloated experience had she actually been in it, and more than she was. I think the capacity she's in it at the moment is fine.
Fine enough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, agreed. It was, like, I want to just start from the beginning, because as soon as we kind of open on the three, those doctors. One is legit. Dr. fucking Eggman.
Oh yeah. The guy.
Like the direct opening. I think the direct opening has like showing the antagonist.
Yeah,
like,
I thought that's what you were talking about. I was like, they're not doctors. Yeah.
And there's 4 of them.
And there is, yeah.
And, yeah, I really like the opening of it, just because the banter between Zenigata and what we find out as Lupin. It works so well. Although the dialogue, I'd say, in this film is a bit more younger audience oriented, it still has its fun.
I'll be honest, it's a
elements.
TV special. It's also like more fun Lupin. I would not have expected like high caliber dialogue.
No, absolutely.
No. I'm never expecting high caliber dialogue.
But just the conversations of like, oh yeah, this is Lupin proof. Like, yeah.
I'm sad to say it took me until they were talking about that I was like, oh, they're Lupin and the gang.
You didn't realize it was his voice like immediately?
No, dude, I watched most of these dubbed and I watched this one subbed for the first time, so I don't have the same familiarity.
You only have the option to watch this one subbed. There is no dub.
Yeah, so I didn't have that familiarity going in, but it wasn't until like they started talking about and this will be like Lupin proof. I was like, oh, that's
it's
Lupin.
him.
Can I just say, by the way, in that opening sequence, I love that there's just a sign that says aliens.
Yeah.
Next to Area 51.
Yeah.
Like, government cover up my ass. They're advertising it right there.
Yeah, I love... Because when did this come out?
2005.
2005.
Oh, yeah, this was pre-people, like, fully being obsessed over it.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, also, you can very much tell this is early to mid-2000s.
Oh, yeah.
Story and animation.
Those character designs have some sharp features. Like, for the antagonists.
I love them, though.
Oh, yeah. We'll get there.
No,
I love the character in this one.
Yeah. I like the whole, like, thing of they're just constantly bouncing around the gang being like, you have the original metal, no, you have the original metal, no, you have the original metal.
And in fact, it was I that had the original metal.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think it's nice because we always see them together and just having all of them be in their separate element, I think really worked for them. However, I did like fucking laugh when I realized Goemon figured out, I can't cut it. Fuck this, I'm out. And he just...
he goes to train.
I'm useless.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's like, it must be my skill. It's a skill issue.
Yeah. Kingship doesn't blame the tool, just goes, oh my god, it's a skill issue.
My whole favourite part of Goemon's story in this is that because his blade is so, like, unbelievably strong, he's like, yeah, I just had to use the original metal to sharpen that thing. Like, nothing else would have done it. It's like, man, next time your sword gets chipped, you're fucked.
You're fucked, yeah. No, if it gets chipped, you'll just use whatever chipped it.
Yeah.
It works out fine.
But yeah, also all of our protagonists having their like female version antagonist.
Yeah.
Was to see. Absolutely.
And I like that because Fujiko is female, she gets like a sort of inverse in that. Where, like, her antagonist is still female, but like presents like masculine and stuff.
Yeah.
Which they could have went very badly with in terms of presentation, by the way, and I'm really glad they didn't.
No, I think that was done really well.
Yeah.
Like you
until the ending.
What, when they're in the whole corset dress thing?
Yeah.
I don't really see that as like a.
Yeah. That doesn't seem like. It doesn't seem like it's in bad taste or anything like that.
I don't know. She went from like full, like masculine badass to Princess Peach.
She's still trying to kill everyone.
Yeah, I'd say she's still cool, like, even after that.
It to me was just kind of like I still didn't mind it at all, but it felt a bit out of character, so to say.
Nah, I don't think it was out of character. I think it was like it was a different sort of like went from like masculine presenting to like female presenting, but I'd say like it was still like threatening and imposing. I'd say. Like, the character
doesn't compare to fucking Emily though.
Oh yeah, I loved that twist because I did not see that coming.
Neither did I.
Same. Legit, like I have notes like, oh, I love her, and then when she shoots one of the bloody angels, I just have my note, Emily girl, murder.
Yeah, I was like, oh, that's intense. Like, that's a decision. To have like a cop just kill someone in cold blood, essentially.
As well.
I was like, wow. And it's done in quite like a way where you're like, oh, holy fuck.
Oh my god.
Yeah. Like,
I just wanted to warn them. No, you didn't. That's murder.
I will say I have a note here where I'm like, wow, Emily's kind of cool. I actually said she reminds me of like the scientist character from Ace Attorney, Emma.
Oh,
like that.
Yeah.
And then like later on, I add in brackets to that note. Never mind. No, she doesn't. No. Never mind.
She
evil.
She bad.
Like there's like
it's kind of cool now.
Yeah.
Yeah, and just before that, they have one of my favorite lines in this whole thing, which is Lupin talking to this girl who lost her husband in the war, and basically tells her, "Nah, you're too cute for all that trauma."
Yeah, that's a line.
Yeah.
I mean, there are words that you're too cute for all that jazz.
Yeah, I should just forget about that. Like, my dude.
It's like, to me, it's giving the fucking Leonardo DiCaprio.
Oh no, don't turn 25.
No, don't turn 25. You're so hot, girl. No, girl, don't have all this trauma. Stop it.
It wasn't that point that I was like, oh, she should just like slap him or something.
Yes. If someone told me after I like tore my heart out, I was like, oh my god, my husband died in battle. It's like, no, don't cry. You're too cute to cry. You're too hot.
You're way too cute for that trauma.
Stop.
Oh, Lupin.
At that point, you should have just poisoned them.
Yeah.
Which he'd still find a way to get out of, because Lupin manages to get out of so many situations in this movie, and it's almost bullshit.
I mean, that's just Lupin. Come on.
I know that, but like with the way the tone is, you just sort of accept it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
my
especially
favorite one has to be the sort of absorption ball that's just in his throat.
Because at the end, it gets a bit ridiculous when like you have this fucking female army fully missing.
Yeah.
Yeah. That made me laugh.
Yeah, same.
I
looked over to Manuel. He was, how are they all missing? And I deadbeat just said, well, they're all women. They don't know how to shoot. It's fine because I say it.
I really like the sort of like two-tone look that whole like last part had, where it's like very like black on red type thing, heavily shadowed. Yeah. Also, you fucked with Lupin and just killed someone in cold blood. He did not like that.
Yeah. He gave her the chance to like walk away and stuff, and she was still. And when she tried to like still play, he was just like, "All right then,
fuck you."
Yep.
Yeah, this was a very gory.
It is. There's a lot of blood in this one.
Yeah, a lot of blood and boobs. That's my note.
Yeah.
You know, it's weird. We've seen so many like actual like nude, like characters in Lupin that like that just didn't even register because there's like there's not even a hint of a nip in this one. You know.
No, but
I mean, they're very prominent, though.
No, I get that, but come on, I've seen like so much anime where that's just worse.
Yeah, I guess you're more desensitized.
I am. I'm very desensitized to this sort of thing.
I'm sorry, I just want to come back to the fact that Lupin is out for blood, but everyone in this film is out for blood. Zenigata is in a plane and is like, I'm gonna shoot him down. Even Emily's like, sir, sir, no.
I've played this cat and mouse so many times, he is done with the shit.
They all got their inverse, thrown at them. Their reverse version thrown at them, and they took that personally.
In another world, you bitch.
I will say, I do love how each of the four, the main four, I think they're the four clovers or something. I think is their official.
I think so. I think they're all a leaf of the four clover or something like that. It's a kind of clunky name, I think.
Yeah. I just still call them just the Bloody Angels, maybe, even if it's maybe the whole group. But I like how each one of them, even though this is an hour and a half of a film, they're all still sort of fleshed out enough to have their own distinct personalities and sets. And I think by the end I sort of realised that I think these are the best antagonists we've had in a Lupin sort of thing.
Oh yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, I mean, even the really good stuff like Cagliostro and the first, the antagonists in those.
What you mean, the Nazis?
I didn't want to bring up
Nazis weren't very well fleshed out.
I didn't want to bring up Hitler again. But okay.
That's okay. The necessary mention.
Yeah. I tried to get past that, but
because even like you say, first Cagliostro, the villains are not that sort of well presented, I think. Cagliostro, he is a caricature of evil, lord type
he's
thing.
Just an evil count.
Yeah. The first, they're Nazis. What are you gonna do with that?
Yeah.
Whereas these, I think it works so well in Angel Tactics, and they feel so kind of rounded out, is because at least one of them shows some kind of doubt in what they're doing. There's some level of I don't want to say remorse, because no one outright directly shows remorse, but there's you can have sympathy for the character in a way.
Because Poison is, I forget her actual name, but she's Poison,
the Lupin inverse, the one that's constantly trying to kill him.
She was really good. I feel like she was the most fleshed out and had the most sympathetic backstory where because she lost her boyfriend.
Yeah.
What is totally not the Iraq invasion.
Yeah.
No.
Absolutely not.
It's so bizarre having watched Cagliostro, Farewell to Nostradamus, and I want to say, what was it? What was the last one we watched? No, that was
Dragon of Doom?
No, that was Columbus Files, where they sort of skirt around giving any real world location to just
or time
period, where here it's Poison is fully talking about we need to destroy this country. We need to reset it and build a better one, and I was sitting there she's fully talking about the US.
Yeah.
That's wild.
It was at this point I was oh, this was definitely made in 2004.
Only 4 years after 9/11.
You know what? Gotta throw that mention in there.
2 years after Iraq.
Yep.
Yeah.
But she was definitely the most sympathetic, which obviously meant that she was the one that died at the end. To Emily.
Pretty brutally. That was quite
Yeah.
Heavy hitting for Lupin.
Yeah.
I mean, the fucking Jigen girl, that fucking exploded.
Oh yeah.
You forgot about that? There was a flower explosion.
It's not as gruesome or anything though, because you just sort of I like this sort of flash disintegration deaths with explosions, because you're Oh yeah, that shit was so fucking intense. You just ain't even there anymore.
You're just
yeah.
Yeah, she was cool too. I keep forgetting their names, but I just called her the green one after.
Yeah.
But yeah, she was cool. I liked how insane she was.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. She fucking lost it at some point, and I like that. You know, hell yeah.
Like, they're just at like the sort of like club that she like works in, and then she just pulls out like submachine guns.
But she's
from
a
I
magician.
don't know where.
They're fine. She's a magician.
Yeah.
Don't worry. No worries. She's
magician,
a professional.
Reality warping wizard. You know.
She's fully got like an invisibility cloak at some point as well.
Yeah.
And can teleport.
Yeah. Like, alright, you fucking ninja.
No, that's the one that Goemon. That's
she's a samurai.
Yeah. No, that was the samurai.
Yeah.
Very different.
The cursed sword.
She gets like the most kind of like tasteful death, where like you don't really see it on camera. It's all very like implied.
We see the sword stab her between the boobs.
It's out of frame though.
No, you see boobs. I remember being like, wow.
Right.
Like top. You see top.
Yeah. I think it's supposed to be at her heart.
Yeah.
But because,
but you know, there's something in the way there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's all sort of like from here, I think we see, and so you don't really see like the fucking blood everywhere that you get with like Emily or not Emily.
There's a good amount of blood, but you know, it's not. Like,
she's out of focus though. Like she's very much like not. You know, it's way more. That kind of respectful samurai death you see in a lot of movies. Still gets fucking impaled by her own sword. That's
Mel.
Yeah.
I will say, I do think. I will say, I do think she was the one that I think got the least amount of flesh.
She did not get much screen time.
No.
She's very one note.
Yeah, they talked to like sword more than her.
Yeah, well, because like every other like of the Bloody Angels get like some sort of backstory or at least some reason to be there, whether it's just they like the carnage or losing their boyfriend or whatever. Whereas she's just like, oh, cursed sword.
That'll do it though.
Yeah,
it'll do it, but not much character.
Yeah.
Just cursed sword, beat her. Okay.
Yeah. Also, Goemon should do more stone carving. I feel like there's a job waiting for him for that.
Stone carving.
He carved the full-on thing out of a mountain.
He did. Yeah.
Yeah. In his downtime.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's got.
Everyone needs a hobby.
He can cut typhoons. He can carve stones.
He can cut down buildings.
Yeah. Just
people.
Maybe he's Jesus. Just a humble carpenter.
Yeah, with
a sword.
Samurai.
That's the thing most people didn't know about Jesus. He just had a fucking Uzi, ready to go.
Yeah.
Why do you think no one fucked with him until the end?
Just pull the Glock anytime.
The only reason the Romans got him was because he'd ran out of ammo.
Yep.
What the fuck am I talking about?
Lupin the Third, angel tactics. That's background because angels.
No, genuinely, up there is one of my favorites.
Yeah. Same, definitely.
I think I told you that like if Cagliostro and the First were like S tier Lupin, I'd put this as a solid 8.
Oh yeah, once we've watched like more Lupin at some point, I think we should go through and make like a tier list of them.
Oh, absolutely.
We definitely got to make that episode. Yeah.
Maybe like a YouTube video type thing so people can see what we're doing, but yeah, I don't think we've watched enough to really warrant it. It feels like we've watched a lot, but when you remember this is the 17th TV special, and I think it's only
we have plenty to go.
The third or second, I can't remember. Dragon of Doom, Columbus Files, and this were all TV specials, so that's the only 3 of them we've watched.
Was Nostradamus also?
Nostradamus was a movie.
No.
Yeah. So.
What, you think the Brazilian football team would settle for a TV special?
I'm sorry, I forgot about the Brazilian football team, as I always do.
That also had a reference to another terrorist
Why does it keep rounding back to geopolitics with Lupin?
Because that's what
it's a really common thing.
Man.
Yeah, no, I definitely did enjoy this one more. It's so weird as I mentioned, it felt like simpler because it was a TV special, but then there was just so much blood and like murder that I was like, no way, it's for kids. But then you had so many edges of like visual like comedy bits, just standing weird, catching something off guard, stuff like that.
Slapstick.
And then it just goes back and forth between, haha, I'm cutting these women in half.
I think that's when Lupin's like at its best, when it can flip on a dime as to whether you're laughing or it's like genuinely like really well done like action,
Yeah. Best Lupin walks the line.
Yeah. And
I really appreciate that this movie was a bit actiony and some of its stuff, but we didn't have action hero Lupin.
No.
So I think you turned
cool Lupin.
The characterization was on point.
Yeah.
This
was just like actual, Lupin being the dumb motherfucker that he is.
Yeah. Because let's look at his wants and needs. He wants to get the medal so he can make a ring for Fujiko.
So he can. Yes. That's it. That's the best motivation that Lupin ever has.
The way it should be.
Yeah, I think even Jigen mentioned it. Like, that's why.
Yeah.
This is the reason why. Everyone else like muddy. He's like, have you seen her? I need. And we got some of pervy Lupin as usual.
Yeah. What do you expect?
Not too much.
As long as we're not getting on the level of
Miss
Mama or one of the other ones that was pretty bad, I think it's okay.
I think it was it Columbus Files that was a bit.
Oh yeah, where she doesn't have her memory and he's like fully
flirty.
He takes it a bit far, and even though he at the end he's like, okay, I've taken it a bit too far. That's still kind of We didn't get that.
No, we got good Lupin.
It kept lighthearted.
Yeah. So well, we just go to the scores unless anyone else has anything to say. I didn't come with any notes for this one. I was fully.
I don't know if I again with Lupin. You don't want to look at quality and this and that. I'll say sometimes the pacing was very slow, especially after the introduction of the Bloody Angels, and it felt a bit disconnected at times. But overall, when you finish a Lupin movie, you're either like, "What the fuck was that?" or "What a silly adventure this was." And so you can kind of just forget that,
I'm not expecting, I'm not holding this to the bar that I was holding Children of the Sea, which is that you want to be a high art, intelligent piece.
Yeah.
And you're failing
miserably. Lupin, Angel Tactics specifically, did not want to be that. It was just...
No, it's
you say it sort of feels like it was maybe for a younger audience, but I have a feeling this probably aired super late at night. I probably...
I can see this being a 10 o'clock.
If not 11 p.m, 2 a.m. Anime airs ridiculously late in Japan.
Okay. I do feel like I could see this on Toonami at 2 in the morning.
So yeah.
The only note I do have here that I don't think we've covered yet is probably my favorite joke in the whole movie, which is when it's when Zenigata is in the jet and he's chasing Lupin in the normal plane, and he fires the missile, and Emily's like, "Won't that kill him?" And Zenigata's like, "Nah, it's Lupin."
It's gonna take more to do that. It's gonna take more.
Yeah. Believe me, he can survive this. I've seen it.
I love how the persona Emily presents up until she's revealed to be the villain has to be written so dumb to make Zenigata actually seem intelligent.
Yeah.
Because she's like, well, then how do we find him? And he's like, well, we comb the whole fucking islands and see, like, what do you expect? And it's like, ain't no way in normal circumstances Zenigata's coming to that conclusion. He's going and he's diving for himself.
Yeah.
Also, the U.S. military is like, fuck. Lupin has stolen this thing.
And gives Zenigata
Get our Lupin expert who has never caught him before!
Yeah, exactly. Hey, he's still an expert.
At this point, I'd be like, nah, you're gonna just fucking bomb wherever he is. You're the US, you would.
Nobody else has caught him either. But Zenigata's
Yeah.
I mean...
It makes sense.
True. But still... And he managed to get tricked into his entire army being...
Details. What are you, the nitpicker?
Scores.
Why? I want to give it a 9, honestly.
Wow. I'd give it an 8.
I really like my time on this one.
Really enjoyable. Yeah, I'd give it an 8.
I'm at a 7.
That's fair.
Ooh. Yeah.
Just because I would think I would rewatch it, but there are bits I would probably skip through still.
Wow.
Like, yeah.
I mean, that's fair.
Yeah. So, 9, 8, 7. Ah.
That's close enough.
Yeah.
Look at us. Semi-agreeing on one very fun thing and one
approach,
very bad thing.
So yeah, that's been an interesting episode of Anime Lane.
Yes.
Yep. No idea what's coming after this. Yeah. We'll see.
One of these films will be prominently featured in our anime next year.
I 100% know what my worst entry of this season is, and it's literally just started. I don't think we can get.
You don't
think we.
I will fight you.
Knocking on
How are you gonna find me something, Melina?
I feel like I will just find the weirdest shit.
I got like one.
I feel like something will somehow fall into our fucking.
I've got like one other thing that might be a contender that may come up this season. I don't know. We'll see.
That.
Yes. So
that is the end.
This is the end of the episode.
Yeah.
Because of the way we're recording this, we don't know what's coming next. We haven't actually talked out what we're going to be doing after Melina comes back from being on holiday. That's for future us to worry about. So yeah, we'll see you guys next week with whatever the fuck we've decided to talk about in general. Yeah. Bye.
Bye.